Hello everyone, welcome back to the FetchQuest podcast where we talk about video games and more. I'm your host Guy, joined by my fellow co-host, Brewer.
Hey everybody.
Alrighty, we're starting another episode today. Brewer, how are you doing, man?
Dude, I don't know why, it just seems like games are getting more and more expensive as time goes on, like maybe the industry standard just got raised or something?
What do you mean?
I mean, dude, I don't know, it seems that my wallet is just getting emptier and emptier. Ice soup is starting to look like a viable choice on the menu tonight.
You know what? I've actually been seeing, like, game prices going up and up. Like, I wonder why that is.
Wait.
What is it?
I remember what it is now. Games are $80 now. Stupid Mario Kart.
Oh no, they are $80 now. Dude, I'm still scraping by to pay for college. I don't need $80 games now.
Oh my god.
Dude. That brings us in today's topic. A little short video today. We're basically going to be talking about the price changes that we're seeing right now in the gaming scene, mostly in AAA. Basically, if y'all haven't heard, Mario Kart World is going to be $80, and people have had a fucking outcry against this, and for good reason.
Yeah, I can't really blame them. I mean, $70 games is already a very hard pill to swallow for a lot of people, especially because the amount of games that were priced themselves at $70, a lot of them were not worth it, to be frank.
No, dude, like, it's funny because, like, I've had this conversation with friends before, where they discuss how, like, they would never buy a game for $70, and it's like, now thinking about it, it's like, I've only bought, I think, 2 or 3 video games at full price for $70, being Tears of the Kingdom Day 1 and God of War Ragnarok Day 1, but those are because those are sequels to games that I've played that, like, are some of my favorite games of all time that I knew I would have fun with.
Yeah.
I still, like, it's crazy, because, like, with that logic, I myself still have not adjusted to, like, $70 games, because those are I've only bought those games because I knew that they would give me guaranteed, like, success or happiness.
Yeah, no, I'm a cheapskate. Unless there's a game I'm really hyped for, I don't really buy a lot of things on day one release. There's only one game, I think, recent memory, that I have actually bought that was, like, $70. And the funny thing is, it wasn't even 70 for me. I think it was like more like 130 because it's Tears of the Kingdom and it is the collector's edition.
Yes, yeah.
Which is the same case for you because I know you also got the collector's edition.
I have a really funny story.
Yeah, guys, I don't pay $70 for games. I'm not a chump. I pay $130.
Do you remember the collector's edition fiasco that happened? It wasn't really a fiasco, but it came in late.
What, with Tears of the Kingdom?
Yeah. Okay. So, for those who don't know, Brewer thankfully ordered my collector's edition for Tears of the Kingdom because I was, like, doing something else.
Oh, you're talking about our fiasco.
Well,
I thought you were talking about, like, a general one.
No.
Okay,
This is different.
Okay, I got you.
So, this I had more money than I used to, probably because didn't still freshman in college, so I actually had a little bit more money. But basically, Brewer already bought the collector's edition for me. I paid him back the $130. The collector's edition, I wouldn't be able to see Brewer until the Saturday of the Saturday of the release of Tears of the Kingdom. My impatient ass wasn't gonna have it though. I wanted to play Tears of the Kingdom immediately. So even though I had already gave him $130 for the collector's edition that I just have to pick up, like, it's just wait for 24 hours, I went to the midnight release of Tears of the Kingdom at my local GameStop, paid an additional $75 for that game just so I could play it 24 hours earlier.
Yeah.
I have given Nintendo $200 for a single video game.
Well, I mean, wait, you did return it, right?
Yeah, no, okay, I did return it, yes.
Yeah.
No, I did. My money was not wasted. No, I didn't return it. Hayden looked interested in it, and I gave him the friend discount of $50.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was the one who was actually a bad case, because I'll probably talk about this story again in Tears of the Kingdom episode, but I bought the collector's edition, right?
Yeah.
I bought the OLED console as well, the limited edition one, because I was wanting an OLED at the time anyways.
Yeah.
And then I bought the controller as well. Now, the controller I got it from Best Buy. Best Buy also had a pre-order bonus for getting the game. So I was like, dude, I'll just return it later. So I got the game to get the pre-order bonus.
Yeah.
And then from GameStop, they also had a pre-order bonus for like some wooden plaque.
Mhm.
And then also they had this cool arm sleeve. They didn't announce it. It was just a little surprise they had at the midnight release. So I got that, and I started playing the game. I went to see Guy the day the game came out, and I brought over the collector's editions. And I went up to our local GameStop, and then we know the manager pretty well, so I went up to him and it was like, dude, this game is mid. I want to return it.
It was like brand new copy of Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, day one of release. And it was the copy from the collector's edition because I played the one I got from GameStop. But then I also had to return the one from Best Buy. But they actually scanned the barcodes at Best Buy, so they were scanning. It was like, why doesn't it want to return? Because it was the copy from, I think.
Dude, that's insane.
It's crazy.
But yeah, no, getting back on topic, like, Tears of the Kingdom, love that game to death. We'll talk more about that later in the Tears of the Kingdom episode, but, yeah, like, I think it is important to bring up Tears of the Kingdom because that is Nintendo's first $70 game that they made. Because forever they'd been known as the company to, like, keep their games at $60 forever because if you can only play these games on our systems, then we're going to keep them at $60 to maximize profit.
Yeah, the evergreen strategy with their games.
Yeah, and the thing is, they're going way I think something to also note is that the $80 price value for Mario Kart World is also very jumping because you go from $60 to one $70 game, and then the games that they release afterwards that are of their company are still $60. Then you go to a game that is immediately $80, and I think that like that jump right there was just also like a big red flag to people because of how big of a jump it was. It wasn't 60, 70, 80, it was 60 to 80.
Yeah, that's a lot of practices in the gaming industry, especially like microtransactions, like a big one from the past and just DLC.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the things we have now are stuff that like we've gotten used to over time. It's like really scummy practices. They don't just slap them on immediately and expect you to just buy into it. They just implement it in little ways that they may piss you off, but it's not enough to set you off at the game.
Yeah. And
then slowly you get more used to it till you get the games we have now, where a lot of them are just filled with microtransactions and whatnot.
Yeah. And it's just, dude, it's insane because like. Obviously, people thought this would be like a one-game thing, but the thing is that we now have confirmation from Microsoft that they are going to be investing into selling their games at $80. Not only that, but even prior to Mario Kart 9, we had Grand Theft Auto 6 be estimated to be around $100 because of the estimated $2 billion budget for that game, which I'm gonna be entirely honest. I've discussed this many times, like in person with friends. I'm not gonna buy the standard edition for the game.
Yeah, you know,
for $100.
Expensive deluxe edition, $150.
I'm not doing that.
Get the game like 2 days early,
dude. I'm not fucking doing that. Like, I don't care if that's like the best game ever made. That like blows my socks off. Like, there's no other game like it, dude. Setting like your standard edition to be like near $100 is just bad precedent. Like they are relying on the fact that
it's GTA.
They're relying on brand recognition for that game's success, and that is a big red flag for me.
Definitely. I mean, Mario Kart World's doing it as well. Even $80 is steep because like I got this. I pre-ordered the Switch 2 bundle because like I was refusing to just like buy the console and then try to buy the physical copy.
Yeah.
Because at the very least, when you buy the bundle, it's only $50 when you do the math out for it, so you save $30. Because like I love Mario Kart, but I refuse to pay $80 for it. I'm gonna find some way to get some discounts.
Yeah, no, dude, and like the point you were saying as well. It's like that's $80 for like the standard edition alone. Imagine the DLC costs that are going to be alongside that. Like, yeah. Like very recently, I'm Final Fantasy 16 build, so I have to mention this. I did not buy that game day one. I waited for it to go on sale, so I got the base game for $35. Then I got both DLCs for $15, so $50 in total. If I didn't do that, then I would have spent $100 on that game, but with taxes, like. That is $100 fucking $70 game, and then plus both DLCs, which equates to around $30. That's fucking insane.
crazy price.
Like, and the thing is that like the prices for that are going to like increase because like it's only going to get worse because you have the $80 standard editions, and then like they're gonna put the same like business practices into DLCs. Because like, oh, if people will buy the standard edition for $80, what's say a $20 DLC for 5 hours of content? They'll buy it, right?
Yeah, because again, while it's not every game, it's once it sets a precedent, other people start moving towards it, and then even in general, you'll have stuff that's like, oh, well, that's not too bad compared to this. Like I said, it's a normalization of these practices and getting used to it. Where it's like, yeah, this game's $80, but hey, it's not as bad as the $90 because hey, in the future, like maybe let's say a couple decades down the line, or even a decade, it's very likely we could see even some companies implement standardized $90 games, like not even just your big GTAs, but just regular normal titles. $90, but when they release a game for $80, that's not too bad compared to $90.
Yeah. A big factor that like goes into like a lot of the game price changes is also inflation. I do want to mention that because
that costs of development alongside it.
Of course.
I do have some thoughts on that.
Like a good example is that I forget what two specific PlayStation games were compared in this statistic, but basically I forget which one it was.
What statistic?
Spider-Man 2. It barely made green.
Oh yeah, no, I remember when they had that leak from the studios that made the games.
Yeah.
And it was showing how much it costs to just develop those games.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, and it's like the thing is that like Spider-Man 2 did incredibly well, but the thing is that it barely went green in terms of like okay, barely going green is still like 10 million plus, but like we don't know, at least I don't know the estimated budget, like the estimated profits, but basically it's just that like, yeah, they want to make these games $70 because they gotta pay their employees.
That's a funny joke.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no, the CEOs are...
Okay, you're right, yeah, okay, yeah, no, you're right.
I mean, they'll pay them, just not what they're deserved.
No, exactly. But yeah, no, this is like a multifaceted issue. It's not just like greed is a factor into this, of course, but like one thing that does take into account is that like it is not the end all be all. This is like a multi-layer thing that is not only like the byproduct of like a CEO wanting more money, it's also the byproduct of people who need the money.
Well, I do think there is one thing to say that maybe they need to manage their resources better.
Yeah.
Because like, yeah, if your game sells 10 million copies, dude, there's no way you should be like, oh man, we just barely made above green. Dude, that's 10 million.
Yeah.
That's a number that's hard for people to actually really understand. 10 million is a fucking huge number.
Yeah. I don't think that's a number like people can like comprehend in their minds, like in terms of like quantity.
Yeah, so like if your game's not being super profitable after 10 million, maybe there's some things you could have done to like budget it out better, like maybe don't always focus on the highest graphics for every single area. Like, oh man, this random soda bottle needs a bunch of little fizzles around it when you look really closely at it.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't give a fuck about that bottle. Make the boss fun.
Yeah, the bottle that you will interact with for half of like a second, like by passing by it or some shit.
Yeah, but stuff like that. Like, I think the one thing to mention, and like, dude, I'm gonna sound like biggest Nintendo dick rider.
Yeah.
I'm saying this, but like a lot of Nintendo games, especially what they've had to work with on the Switch for a while, it's going to be better now with Switch 2 power-wise because that thing can run Elden Ring.
Thank God.
But they've always had a bigger focus on just their art styles and like, you know, a lot of cel-shaded stuff, just stuff that isn't nearly graphically taxing.
Yeah.
With like high-res textures. That's made it to where they're not having to put nearly as much budget into spending all that time on getting those high-resolution textures, making things look realistic as possible. I don't think all games need a big push of realism. It's cool to see games that like push the boundaries with realism.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, while we have gotten to a point where the jumps aren't as big compared to like, let's say PS1 to PS2, PS2 to PS3.
Yeah.
In 10 years, there's still going to be games that release now, even the best looking games like even your GTA 6s, that still will start to not look as good as what's coming out new because, you know, technology gets better. Some stuff that you can only really save for big high-end multi-$1,000 PCs starts to become the norm. Sometimes 12 gigabytes went to being a lot back in the day, to where now 12 gigabytes is the size of maybe an update.
Yeah.
If at that, some updates are like 50 gigabytes.
For some fucking reason, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there is also optimization within that, which that's a whole other thing to get into.
Which we have a video on optimization you should watch.
Yeah, but either way, I think at least for some of these games we're saying, yeah, they sold 10 million copies and are not as profitable. Yeah, the game should maybe be a higher price, especially if the game is actually, designed well.
Yeah.
It's a good game to play.
Yeah.
To make sure, everyone's getting paid properly, the company actually profits so they can make more games. But also, maybe they need to manage their resources a little better to where a profit is expected within like maybe 1 to 2 million copies.
Yeah, no, that's completely fair. Not only that, but also it's just like this kind of you're kind of also leaning into something I do want to talk about. It's like the discussion of like what is the worth of a game?
Yeah.
Because like you first.
Oh no, I was just in agreement.
Yeah, because like Masahiro Sakurai, the director of Smash Bros., he made a really good point on his YouTube channel that gaming overall is a pretty cheap hobby, like all things considered.
Well, depends on what type of gamer you are.
Okay. The brewer gamer, no. The me gamer also kind of no, but sometimes yes.
Yeah, I perform fatalities on my wallet monthly.
Yeah, but basically he made the argument that let's say you pay for a game that is $60, $70, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The average amount of like enjoyment you can get out of that game could vary, but like let's just say it's a game that you get 30 hours worth of enjoyment out of. That is a full day.
Yeah.
Like, and the thing about that, tickets for like amusement parks are like $60 or more for something that's like 8 hours.
Definitely. That or even just like getting a meal at like a nice restaurant with your family.
Yeah.
The price of that like whole meal pay your family could come out to like a similar price as like a $70 game after tax.
Yeah.
But that game, like especially if it's something like, let's just say Elden Ring with Shadow of the Earth Tree DLC. Yeah, you're gonna be putting a lot of time into that bucko. Multiple weeks worth of time.
No, exactly. It's
even
like
months, years. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like, and it kind of gets into the like thing of like, okay, what is like the worth of the game in terms of like what it means to you, and also like how much there is to do. Which that's a completely different topic, but it's just like
what's the worth of hours versus like the quality of each hour.
Yes.
Yeah, because you can have a game that's like 200 hours. And I would still prefer maybe like a more polished 20-hour experience over it for the same price.
Yeah, like
don't waste my time.
Like my thing is that like I think Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild are very much worth their price points. Like for what you can get. Like obviously like I know some people might not entirely agree with me because like Tears of the Kingdom does use like a lot of like reused assets. However, like for what's new in the game, I do think it is worth it. Like I had a 150-hour playthrough.
I do think I can agree with that. Well, except for $70 Tears of the Kingdom on the Switch 2, that's stupid. That is so stupid.
Yeah,
that game released on the Wii U and Switch like day one.
Wait, are you talking about Breath of the Wild?
Oh wait, Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, you said yours. No,
it's a bit late.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. Well, even Tears of the Kingdom as well. The game just came out for the original Switch like not even a year ago.
Yeah.
And now Switch 2 is coming out, and you're telling me for just a faster frame rate and whatnot that you probably already built into the game because you're the publisher and the one who made the machine. You know what's about to happen while everyone else was in the blue.
No, literally.
So yeah you don't need that extra $10. That's greed.
It is greed.
Especially because Breath of the Wild's $70 edition for Switch 2 doesn't even come with the DLC.
That is true. I forgot about that.
That is so scummy.
That is so scummy. Oh my god. That kind of leads into my next point that I want to talk about. I want to talk about like the company greed versus like current day conditions that may be affecting these prices or not. And we do have a rule in FetchQuest. We don't bring up politics when it's unprompted. However, I do feel like because we are talking about real world stuff, this is prompted.
There's two big things to talk about right now. One of them more recently affecting us than the others. One's inflation.
Yeah, inflation.
That's been going on for years now. Just the argument of oh, the games back then and nowadays price is like even $100, $120. So we should be happy to still have games at this price or be fine with the price being up. But then also stuff that we shouldn't have to worry about, but we're worrying about because of the modern climate, like tariffs.
Yeah.
So an extra tax on any goods that come out of the country. For me and Guy, since we live in the U.S., a lot of popular games we like are made in Japan. So
that may affect it. Yeah.
Yeah, and the hardware as well being made in Japan.
See, here's the thing.
But not in Japan, Vietnam. You know.
We don't. This could entirely date the video that we're recording as we speak. However, as of right now, I don't think the game prices are being affected by the tariffs.
Well, also because there's a pause. Let's just be clear. This video was made on the 17th of May.
Yeah.
2025.
Yeah.
For anybody watching.
Yeah. So in case like I am just saying something completely outdated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, considering the current political climate, things can very much change within a day.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
That's how it's been for the past like 100 days for us. Things are changing literally every day.
Early. But
man. You know that button is like, I wish I wasn't living through a historical moment right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I had that button because we're in our 20s. Why is this happening to us?
Dog, I don't want the economy to be in a recession.
We got through COVID in high school, now we have this.
No, literally. But I don't think the tariffs are affecting the game prices as much as a lot of people are thinking. They're affecting the hardware. That is a definite.
Yeah. Well, they're still affecting games because like if you can't get your hands on hardware, is that. But also. One thing to mention with the tariffs, at least as the state they're in right now, because again, this could change within
this could
the day
change,
we upload the video.
Yeah.
But there was like a pause on the tariffs, like a 90-day pause, and then eventually some of the tariffs were being dropped between like the U.S. and China after we kind of. This is so hard to say. I really don't like bringing some of this messy stuff up.
It's not fun to talk about.
But after our country kind of just waged them at other countries.
Yeah. Like, because here's the thing. Like, the reason why I do want to bring this up is because a lot of people confused the $80 price tag of Mario Kart World on tariffs. However, that's not the case because they were charging the game at a similar price across the entire globe.
Yeah.
And that is just an example of...
Well, except Japan. There is still some messy stuff with that. Because, like, Switch 2 in Japan, if you convert the Japanese yen to US dollar, at least current prices, because again, like everything else we're saying, this could change. But the price in Japan is around $350. But they purposely, and at least in Japan, they have a version of the console that's region locked to only have Japanese as a language on it.
Yeah.
Where a multilingual Switch in Japan will be more reflective of the price that we get everywhere else in the world, $450. So I feel like that is very much... Yes. We haven't had region lock systems like that in years, like since the Wii U.
Yeah.
That could definitely be due to the modern day factors. And that, and also, like, I think even Mario Kart World in Japan is also more so around like $65, $70 with current conversion rates.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, there is the argument of Nintendo is a Japan-based company, so it could be playing more to the strength of the Japanese yen.
That's fair.
It's weird. Again, I don't like getting into this stuff because
I don't either.
I just like talking about fun video games with friends.
Exactly. Well, like this is an important issue, but what I was talking about was like just most of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is. The thing is also, it's like because it's software, like. It's not really going to have as much trouble in terms of, like, transport, because a lot of gaming now is digital.
Yeah. Well, I'm still really unsure, considering, like, literally, sort of, like, again, things are changing. There's a certain person who said tariffs on overseas movies. So,
okay, side rant.
If those can be tariffs, Lord knows.
Side rant right now. I want to get into film. That is, like, my dream job and everything. Not saying who that is, but if that goes into effect, that legitimately could kill, like, the film industry. That's a side tangent. I don't think it's actually going to go through because I think everyone is in unison that it's not the best. It's dumb, but dumb. I don't think it's going to go through, but I I think it's just crazy to think that like that was like a thing that was said. But
there's a lot of things kind of attacking creative works, especially with like AI generated stuff as we speak now.
yes, oh my god.
Just in general, I think it's good if we try to take a stand to protect our creative works, but also the artist behind it, because people are caring less and less about some of the things they're using that are actually really affecting artists. Like instead of like let's say YouTubers going to commission an artist or even trying to make the art themselves for a thumbnail, they may just do an AI generated one just because it's cheaper and it looks kind of pretty, which we don't do that at FetchQuest. We very much do not condone.
Yeah, generative AI is always a messy thing. We've talked about it before. If you want to know our stance on it, look at our previous videos covering topics like these. But I think we're starting to get to that point. I do hate talking about topics like this, but it is important to talk about because we are in a very big change in gaming.
Some of it caused by political aspects, but also just the current age. There is one thing I want to talk about, I think, before we fully wrap up.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned this a little bit before, but how games, like let's say back at 80s, 90s for like NES, Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
Some of those games you would see priced at like even the $60 we have today, or even higher, like 70, 90.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have posted those ads as to where to kind of counter, like be like, hey, we're still kind of getting a bargain and we're getting much bigger games. And while I do think it's like, yeah, some of these games we're getting are like absolutely massive and worth it, there is an argument to be made. One thing I don't see a lot of people bringing up is just the profit you could make then versus now. And what I mean by that is the consumer base. Like, let's just say NES and Nintendo 64. Gaming was getting popular back then, but it is nowhere near the massive juggernaut in the industry it is today. So when you don't have as many people to sell to, because even with the console you're selling, only so many people will want to play certain types of games. Like, yeah, even for Nintendo 64, there's still a part of the people who own them that don't want Mario 64, don't want the Mario Kart. So there's an argument to be made that back then you would have to charge a higher price when there aren't as many people buying if they wanted to naturally make a profit. Whereas now, there are so many more ways to like make a profit on your game. There's a lot more options for the systems as well, at least popular systems, because while there were more systems back then, a lot of them kind of did not really stick their landing, and you don't remember them too much for a reason.
Yeah.
Whereas now we kind of just have some established juggernauts that everyone knows this is where you're going to release your games on. These are the standard ones. You got Nintendo as a weird one, and then you have PC as kind of just a more general thing to apply to a lot of different people.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is there's a lot more people willing to buy games now. While it's a lot more competitive, it's still, I think, a lot easier to make your games profit now versus then, especially even for just individual developers. A lot of the amazing indie games we've seen now wouldn't really have been possible back then. You would have needed a bit more backing from the companies, but also there's already back then that they were more willing to try different things because we didn't have as many established norms as we did then.
Yeah.
Not to mention, last point before I get off this rant, back then we did also have more rentals as well. I remember like kind of the last dying age of rentals because there was still Blockbuster when I was a kid. So I rented some DS games. You remember, Guy?
Dude, oh my god, do you remember Family Video?
Yeah, I had Family Video in my area. I loved it. There's a Pizza Hut next to it.
Dude, Family Video is how I played like my first Kirby game ever. It was beautiful.
That's awesome.
That's
how I played Super Smash Bros. Brawl.
Oh, dude, that's how I played the first ever Switch game I ever played. That is how I was able to play the first Switch game ever on my Switch. It was ARMS.
Out of all games, it was ARMS.
Yes.
Not Breath of the Wild. Not Mario Grid Deluxe.
Okay, no. No.
Well, I mean, that one does kind of count. It's a Wii U game we released, but
okay. No. I was smart as fuck for this. Because I knew for a fact if I rented out Breath of the Wild, I'd be addicted. I would be addicted to it, and if I were, to have to return it, I would be fucking begging my parents to get this game for me, and I would think nonstop about it. So here's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of renting it, and knowing that I'm going to be addicted to it and it's going to be taken away from me, I beg for the game before I play it, so that when I do receive it, I ain't stopped.
Wow, guy, so smart.
So smart. Even as a 13-year-old, I was making great decisions.
But yeah, with rentals and games, there was a lot of people who would buy the console, but they would just rent the games out for like Nintendo 64, NES, just rent them. Especially for some of those shorter games back then, you wouldn't want to like buy the full game and then you'd be done with it.
Yeah.
You would maybe rent a game and then have it for like the weekend.
Yeah.
And then go on to move on to something else.
Yeah.
But that practice has kind of died out with some of the more larger games we have now. But then also some of the more accessibility we have the games, because there's a lot more free games out there to play, like Fortnite.
Oh my god. And yeah, I guess that brings us a good place to wrap up. Basically with what Brewer was saying, play more Fortnite.
No.
We love Fortnite. But yeah, no. I just want to say, like, with my concluding points, I do think that with increasing game prices, it is something you need to look out for in terms of, especially with like games that you're looking out for in terms of like whether you're excited for them or just like seeing where the like industry goes from here, because this is a rocky time that we're living in right now, but it's just something we got to keep up to date with. I'm just glad that me and Brewer were able to talk about some of like our opinions on the topics and like giving some factual details about like what is happening in the world right now.
Definitely. Again, FetchQuest does apologize if we did ruffle any feathers by accident by talking about certain topics, but
no, this is
some of them
important
we
stuff
felt like we had to talk about.
No,
this is the most non-biased way we could.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like this is stuff we needed to talk about, and I don't like being opinionated, especially in stuff like this. But like, this is just stuff that this is what a podcast is for.
Yeah, and we're very passionate about games, so something that's directly going to affect games like this we want to talk about. But also because too, it's not even just affecting games; it's affecting a lot of different.
Oh yeah, no, this is a multifaceted issue that like we only scratch the surface on.
Yeah, we're not the most qualified people to talk about.
We're just giving some of our like opinions on like the stuff that we've consumed through it. Yeah, But yeah, no, that's basically my points.
Yeah, I guess my concluding points is first. There's some games that are worth maybe $70 or $80. There are some absolute masterpieces out there, but it is also a double-edged sword of, even if those great games are being put at that price, there are so many other games that are half-assed, but also just slop, that are going to put that price tag on there, and it's going to start becoming a general norm. So there's something to watch out for there. Definitely try to vote with your wallets, but unfortunately, while some people may care to vote for their wallets, mom and dads that are trying to get their kid, Christmas gift, and the kid wants that one specific game, they're not going to care as much, because imagine go to your kid and be like, yeah, Santa didn't bring you Mario Kart World because it's $80. And Santa says $80 games are wrong.
Dude, you know what's crazy? Like, okay, niche as hell, I know it's going to happen. Some kid is going to ask for Mario Kart World for Christmas. The parents are not going to be able to afford it, so they get them another game, and that kid is going to start questioning Santa.
No, imagine you open, you get the Switch 2.
Yeah.
But you give Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Oh, dude, I would.
You're back in purgatory.
Nah, Santa ain't real after that shit, dog. He ain't a real one. Oh, yeah. But no, with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching today's episode. If you like this kind of content and you want to see more of it, please hit that like and subscribe button and comment down below what your opinions are on the current situation of gaming in the markets right now. Please, we would love to have a conversation with you. But with that being said, guys, we've been FetchQuest, and this has been our discussion on the current situation of game prices increasing. Thank you very much. See you later.
Thanks for watching, everybody.